What's up guys, Coach Az here, back again with another video, and today I want to give you 5 hard truths for fighters and martial artists. Now before I get into the 5, I want to preface this by saying, as a coach, it's my job to inspire my athletes, inspire my fighters, to make them believe in themselves when they do not, but it is also my job to bring them some reality. So to give them realistic expectations of what they can achieve and what is necessary to achieve what it is that they want. So this video is intended with the best of intentions. It's not me trying to push anyone down or make you feel bad about yourself or anything like that. It's a little bit of perspective so that you understand what it takes to get to whatever level you want to take it in whatever martial art or fighting discipline that you choose to partake in. So with that being said, let's get it started. Hard truth number 1, you are not as good as you think you are.
I'm not impressed by your performance.
Now, you might be the best in your class. You might be the best in your club. You might be the best in your entire association, federation, etc. You might even be a world champion. But there is always someone better. And if they're not better today, maybe they'll be better than you tomorrow. And this isn't to say that you're not good, that you're not capable, that you don't have the skills, that you don't have the talent. It's to say that there is always someone better. And if there isn't, you should always be training like there is. You see, you should use this as fuel for yourself. Never rest on your laurels. Never be accepting with where you currently are. We're always aiming to improve. Because remember, if you're not moving forward, you're not staying still, you're moving backwards. So there is no I'm just trying to maintain nowadays. That can't be your attitude, because trying to maintain is a slippery slope to just getting worse and worse and worse. Always try to improve, always working on technique, always working on your conditioning, always trying to develop yourself and learn new skills and get better. Don't think of the black belt or the world championship or the British championship like you've completed it. This isn't a completable game. It's a journey and it goes on for as long as you take part in it. For some of us, that's going to be our entire lives. So never think that you are the best, but always strive to be the best. Always strive to work towards being the best version of you that you can be. Hard truth number 2, size does matter. Have you heard those sayings? I'm sure you have. Use your opponent's strength against them. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. I think these 2 sayings make my eyes roll so hard that they could probably just be disconnected from the socket one day. Yes, big fighters can be beaten by smaller fighters. Yes, skill and technique is important, and if anything, it is more important than the size of you or your strength. But to pretend like having more size and having more strength and being more athletic does not benefit you in a fight is simply ridiculous. Divisions exist for a reason. Weight classes exist for a reason in any combat sport. Now there's a couple which will have an open weight, such as points fighting in karate and kickboxing, such as Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But the reason that you don't see this in full contact boxing or kickboxing or K1 or MMA is it simply wouldn't be safe, because the bigger you are, it's just physics. The bigger you are, the more muscle you carry, the more ability to generate power and force that you have. So yes, your technique is important. Yes, your ability to train is vital. Your cardio, your conditioning. We're going to talk all about that later in today's video. But please don't fool yourself or anyone else into thinking that size doesn't matter in a fight, because it certainly does. Now, I'm not telling you that you have to be a giant heavyweight in order to be a good fighter or to be able to protect yourself, but I am saying to you that you should be full for your frame. So if you're a shorter person, you're not going to be a heavyweight, because you just physically are not going to be capable of getting to that weight without it just being massive amounts of fat. But you should try to get your physique to a point which is relatively lean, relatively muscular, within your frame and within what you're comfortable to carry around on a daily basis. You can be slim. Look at lightweight, middleweight, welterweight fighters, myself included. I am a slim guy, but I understand that if I came across a heavyweight with equal or similar skill, that I'd probably be in big trouble. So, size does matter. Truth number 3, you don't stretch enough. Yeah, I'm saying this one with some blind confidence because in my 20 years of teaching people, the one thing that I see again and again, and the one thing I have to tell people again and again that's holding them back the most in terms of improving as a fighter, as a martial artist, as a practitioner, is you don't stretch enough. You're not flexible enough. You don't have enough mobility in your joints, and you're not able to freely move through the correct ranges of motions to do the things that you want to do with your body. It's simple. It's not that you don't have the technique or the understanding to throw a head kick. It's that you're not flexible enough. Your hamstrings are too tight. Your hips are too tight. It's not that you can't do the butterfly guard or the rubber guard in jiu-jitsu. It's that your hips aren't flexible enough. Your glutes are too tight. You can't raise your leg like that. You're removing techniques. You're removing tactics from your arsenal through a physical limitation that, whether you like to accept it or not, you probably have a lot of control over. I have so many people come to me and tell me that they believe it's their genetics are the reason, or they believe that they're just not built for flexibility. Now, genetics come into it. I know people, and I've got tons of students who just came in and could just do the splits. Didn't even know they could. I just said, look, legs wide apart, see how wide you can go, and they can drop down. Genetics, what can you do about it? However, I've never met anyone who I've not been able to drastically improve their flexibility by getting them to work on it regularly. But the truth is most people won't. They don't see the value in putting 10, 15 minutes aside every day to do some work on flexibility. Now, do you need to be able to achieve the Van Damme splits on 2 chairs? No, obviously not. But you do need to have enough flexibility, like I said, to not be limited or to be crippled by your own limitations that you have control of. If you don't have a leg, that's a limitation that you don't have control of. You can't kick with your left leg if you don't have one. But if you have one and it works and it just can't get up to someone's head because you haven't stretched your hamstrings enough, then that's something that's a limiting factor that you can change. So guys, please spend a bit more time on stretching and mobility. Number 4, staying with things that you're probably not doing enough. Conditioning is king. The worst thing that can happen to a fighter within a fight is for them to get fatigued early. This fatigue is one of the scariest things that can hit you because you feel like you're incapable of doing anything, incapable of protecting yourself, of throwing any offense, of offering any defense, and it basically marks the end of the fight for you when you reach that level of fatigue. And that comes from not properly conditioning yourself. And by this I mean you're not doing enough cardiovascular training. There's a reason that you see professional fighters running all the time, skipping all the time, sprinting up and down hills, going on the aerodyne bikes. There's a reason for it. It's not just because it looks pretty on the camera. It's because cardio, your heart and your lungs, are some of your biggest weapons in a fight. And one of the most dangerous things that can happen to you is that you fatigue early. So as much as you'd like to say that your bag work is your conditioning, it's not quite the same as putting your heart and lungs under high stress, under high pressure for a sustained amount of time. And of course, steady state cardio, which is like going out for a jog, is important, but also things like hill sprints and aerodyne bikes where you rev it up to 100 and then bring it back down, because that's the nature of fighting. We work with all the different energy systems. Our sport is very dynamic. We go from being very cardio based, movement, bouncing, light on our feet, 12 rounds, half an hour. This is all things we'd associate with cardio, but we have these bouts of explosiveness. So you need to be fit across all these energy systems and be able to be conditioned so that all this great technique you have, all this power you have, can translate through the duration of the fight if it needs to. The last hard truth, and this was the inspiration for this list, is you have to spar. You can argue the other 4 points on this list and I will happily hear you out. You're probably wrong, but I will listen to you. But on this last one, this is just quite simply the truth. In fact, I'll go as far as saying if you attend a martial arts school that doesn't have any form of sparring in it, contact sparring in it, I recommend that you leave immediately because they are doing you a disservice. There is no way that you can properly prepare for any form of combat, whether it be sports or self-defense, without engaging in the very thing you're talking about. Have you ever seen that episode of Friends where Joey wants to learn the guitar, so he gets lessons from Phoebe, and Phoebe insists that he learns the guitar without playing one, so practicing in the air? That's training martial arts without doing any sparring. It's funny on the show because it's ridiculous. And you need to understand that a martial arts school that doesn't include some form of sparring is ridiculous.
What an interesting approach to guitar instruction. You know, some might find it amusing. I myself find it regular.
And that might seem like an outlandish thing to say because let's say, for example, you're doing a traditional martial art, you have no intention of competing. You have no intention of fighting. You're not even doing it for self-defense reasons. You're just doing it to stay fit, stay healthy, to learn something new. That's fine. But the thing you're trying to learn is the art of combat. Not just what combat looks like, not just to make it pretty. This isn't dance. It is fighting. Now understand, I am not telling you you need to fight. I am not telling you you need to spar hard. I'm not telling you to go get your head knocked around, sustain any damage, get a black eye, any of these things. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm telling you that to get a good understanding of things such as distance and timing, and to learn what a jab feels like when it lands and what it feels like to be pressured in a fighting situation, because you might come across a situation. You might not be training for self-defense, but one day you may need to defend yourself. And having not experienced the pressure of someone attacking you, even if it being in a very safe, very controlled environment, I think it's a very dangerous thing to do, and it's a huge disservice to yourself. So do some level of sparring. And I've got people in my club, they're 60 plus years old, and they spar. They spar safely, they spar with people who I know can control themselves. We are very careful with the contacts. So it's very much a diluted version of things, but it's still sparring. They still have to get into range. They still have to understand how to put their guard up, how to protect themselves, how to move their head. And there's no way of doing this on pads. I can show you on pads all day long. You won't understand it. It won't translate the way it does when you get up with a partner and do some form of sparring. Even traditional martial arts where they say they can't spar because it's too dangerous what they're practicing, don't believe it for a second. No, you shouldn't be hitting each other with elbows or palm striking each other in the nose. But to say that you can't practice touching and putting a fist on each other with gloves, with headgear, with gum shields, it's a cop-out in my opinion. So guys, as I said at the beginning of this list, mostly this is just my opinion, but it's an opinion based on 20 plus years of experience teaching and training in martial arts at a high level. So take it all with a pinch of salt. Obviously, keep what's useful, throw away what's not. That's my advice for everything on anyone's videos that you're watching in regards to martial arts. Enjoy your training for whatever reason you do it for. Self-defense, competing, wanting to be the best in the world. But let's keep a level of reality in both ourselves as fighters, as coaches, and as human beings. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you'd like to ask a question, drop it down in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one.